Hey YouTube, it's your boy Anime Princess, and today we're going to be going over Petrified Blood, which is a common way of leveraging Pain Attunement for 30% more spell damage. I'll be going over how we can use Petrified Blood to enable constant Overleech as well, and we might touch on how to use it as a source of magic find at the end. Let's take a look at the Petrified Blood skill gem. Right off the bat, we can see it has a reservation cost of 35% mana, and this may seem pretty high. However, do keep in mind Petrified Blood is limiting our life pool to 50%, which is the low life threshold. And this means we're able to leverage the top 50% of our life pool with Arrogance support, and we're able to reserve some auras on our life. So Petrified Blood, through normal means such as life regen, lifesteal, you are not able to go above low life. However, if you use a life flask, it will take you above up to whatever limit you are. If you have nothing reserved on your life, it can take you up to full. Petrified Blood does have an effect that will bring you back down to low life. It wants to keep you at the 50%. If you do use a life flask to get above 50%, your spells are going to start costing life, and it's going to quickly bring you back down to that threshold. Having 50% life does not actually make you 50% squishier, because the skill gem does read 40% of life loss is prevented completely, and this is for hits only. And that remaining, so we're going to take 60% of our hit and we're cutting our life in half. You're a little bit squishier. Like, this is not a defensive layer, this is really a damage amp, but the penalties are not that great. The damage that's being prevented, a portion of it is being added back onto your character, but it's being spaced out over a longer duration, so we're getting a dot put on us. You can counteract this with stuff like recoup, with lifesteal, with life regen. The weakness of Petrified Blood is that you're only preventing damage from hits. So any damage over time effects on us are essentially going to do double damage because we are slicing our life pool in half. Ways to counteract this would be being immune to poison, being immune to ignite, simply capping our chaos res, having corrupted blood immunity, being immune to bleeds, protecting yourself against damage over time in general. Something to keep in mind before you swap to Petrified Blood to get that damage amp from Pain Attunement. We're going to want to have a solid defense to these damage over time effects. An interesting use for Petrified Blood would be to give us permanent Overleech. So let's go over what this means. Remember I said that Petrified Blood will not let you go over the low life threshold of 50%. Well, if we're not reserving exactly 50% of our life pool can still have a sliver above the low life threshold. And as long as there is extra life above the Petrified Blood low life threshold, our leech is going to be always on, because it's going to be trying to get us to full life, even though Petrified Blood will always prevent you from going above 50%. This is why when you're reserving your life with auras, you do not want to take Petrified Blood to the exact 50% threshold. You want to have a little sliver of life up there so that the game thinks we are still leeching, because, we're technically not at maximum life. And to do that, I'll put up a formula to show how much life reservation efficiency you're going to want to have baseline if you're just simply reserving Petrified Blood on Arrogance, etc. The simplest way of adding Petrified Blood onto our build is to simply add it in with Arrogance support, so it reserves our life, and then we're going to use a little bit of life reservation efficiency to get us at that Overleech level. On this ChatGPT calculation, we are solving for y, where y is the life reservation efficiency we need to hit. For x, we are plugging in the mana reservation of Petrified Blood, with this 0.35. We're multiplying it by the Arrogance multiplier, and that gives us the 0.7035. We're dividing it by 0.5, which is Z over here, because we are trying to get it to as close to 50% as possible. And then you just have to keep in mind the final answer, you do need to get a little bit higher. So since here we have 40.7 increased life reservation. That means we need to hit 41% increased life reservation efficiency to make sure we are overleeching. And again, if you want to use different auras on your life pool, you would just change the X variable and you can calculate it with the formula you are seeing. Now the important part, let's go over the different sources of life reservation efficiency we can use to hit this 41% threshold. The biggest one would be the Reservation Mastery, 20% increased life reservation efficiency of skills. This is already almost half of what we need. Next up, we can easily get an extra 4% by using alt quality arrogance support. The anomalous arrogance support gives us 4% increased life reservation efficiency. So now we're at 24. In order to make up the extra 17, the option I usually use is to simply get an Ashes with 17% increased reservation efficiency, because this is global reservation. It affects our mana and our life. However, there are a few other ways to do it in this league in particular. In this league, we're able to convert strength nodes to 4% life reservation efficiency of skills. So you could technically get an Ashes with less than 17% and then make up the difference with tattoos. And that's what I'm doing. I'm using 2 tattoos of the Katava Shaman, which give us 4%. And I'm actually not even using an Ashes. I'm using the Amulet Replica Dragon Fang, which is giving me anywhere between 10 and 15% increased reservation efficiency, depending on its role. And keep in mind, if you are using this, do not divine it. If you try and divine your Replica Dragon Fang, it's going to take off the +3 spark and change it to something else. So just use the tattoos if you're doing what I'm doing, or if you have an Ashes that is less than 17%. I suppose we should touch on why you would want Overleech in the first place. Now, I don't want to get too much into the weeds of Leech because it gets a little bit complicated and it's not necessary. But generally speaking, Leech ramps up in this game, and when you hit your full life, it goes away. By preventing us from ever getting our full life because we're getting capped by the Petrified Blood, and there's still a little bit of life left, it means that our Leech is going to ramp up at the beginning of the map, and then it's going to stay at full Leech all the time as long as we keep attacking, because we're never hitting full life, because as soon as you hit the full life, you lose your Leech. So we never lose Leech. So whenever we take damage, we get the instant impact of a full Leech instead of having to wait for it to ramp up. So we've gone and explained what Petrified Blood is, why we'd want it, how to gear our defenses for Petrified Blood, how to gear a tree for Overleech with Petrified Blood, and I think we can wrap up this video with a little bit of interesting tech with regards to how we can magic find with Petrified Blood. There is a magic find flask called Divination Distillate, and this gives us 30% increased rarity and 12% increased quantity during its effect, and it is a hybrid flask, so it gives us life and mana. In normal situations, this flask will lose its effect as soon as you reach both full mana and full life, and it's a little bit hard to design a build where you will not just automatically hit those at some point after you press the flask. But with Petrified Blood, you are spending your life for your skill cost whenever it goes above 50% life, and the only way to go above 50% life is by using a health flask. So as long as you have a big enough gap between the 50% Petrified Blood cap and your total unreserved life, you'll have the wiggle room where this life flask is going to be healing you. It's never going to hit full life because you are constantly spamming your spell to bring it back down to low life. So that's an interesting little bit of tech where you can incorporate Magic Find in your build. Keep in mind, you will have to have more than just the tiny little percentage that we're getting to get Overleech, or else this flask is just going to instantly cap your life and then the effect's going to go away. All right, that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed this lesson on Petrified Blood. I'll be live on Twitch after this goes up. I hope to see you there.